I didn't need any graphic to tell me who that was. Long-time Concrete Blonde Pan. I don't know, did you pick that or did they pick that?
No, they picked it.
Cool. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Atheist Experience. We're live today, Sunday, May 17th, 2009. I'm Matt Dillahunty, and with me is Jeff D. And this program is a live television program sponsored by the Atheist Community of Austin, a nonprofit educational organization promoting positive atheism and the separation of church and state. And we'll get into the announcement stuff in the meantime, but how the hell are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Thank you for asking. Yourself?
I'm doing well.
Yeah.
I haven't had lightning strike me. I haven't come down with serious maladies. Nobody's punched me in the face for Jesus, despite promises. But I don't want you to. So I mean, you don't have to come down and prove yourself. It's just thanks for the amusing clips, though, because that more and more people find us through YouTube now, and a lot of it is the punch you in the face for Jesus thing, along with why don't we die when the sun goes down? It's amazing. As I mentioned, we are live. Today is May 17, 2009. We're sponsored by the ACA. The ACA has weekly meetings every Sunday at Romeo's on Barton Springs Road, beginning at around 11:30, except for the first Sunday of the month when we host a lecture series at the Austin History Center located at the corner of 9th and Guadalupe. That begins around 12:15. The June lecture is actually going to be Chris Comer, so if you're in the Austin area and you're able to actually come down for that, please do. A lot of you know she's one of the people who worked for the TEA who was fired for forwarding an email informing educators about a discussion, a lecture, I guess, on the intelligent design movement. In addition to this program, by the way, the audio of this is available online. The video is available to watch live streaming. Right now it's at ustream.tv, which will be up there by the time I'm done waving my pen, because it's a magic pen. You didn't know that, but it is. And you can download the video as well and watch it at, the older clips are available at Google, and now we're starting to put the newer episodes up on Blip. You can go to atheist-experience.com for more information about the show. There's an archive link on the left side. You can do that, and it will pull up shows from this year, but you can also expand the table to cover previous years and all of the shows. Follow the links to the video, and you'll be able to watch the old shows. In addition to this program, the ACA also sponsors a bi-weekly internet audio podcast called The Nonprofits. That's PROPHETS. You can go to nonprofitsradio.com for more information. We were supposed to be live yesterday, but due to a thunderstorm that knocked out some power and internet access, was intermittent, and the host, well, not the host, one of the guys on the show, namely me, was extraordinarily lazy and decided it would be best if we just didn't do the show. So we may do 2 shows in a row starting next week, I'm not sure. As a reminder, they're going to be doing upgrades and improvements to the public access studio where we film the show over the months of June, July, and at least part of August is the plan. That means, of course, that if you're watching in the Austin area on public access, which would be Channel 16 on Time Warner and Grande Communications, you won't see live showings of the Atheist Experience. That's not going to stop us from doing it, so for the next couple months the show will have a different look and probably may not be done at the same time or broadcast in the same way. We're still discussing exactly how we're going to do it. We're going to try to continue doing a streamed version of the show, record it and get it posted, so if you're in the Austin area, you're going to see what it's like for the rest of the world, not having this wonderful, direct access cable program, immediate with only a 4-second delay. You can watch it streaming over the internet like everybody else, or after the fact. We'll try to get shows up as quickly as we can.
Austin won't have any public access TV during
No. The right? Public access TV will continue. There was recorded programs. There won't
have recorded shows in the pipe?
Yes.
Awesome.
We'll be doing whatever we can to take care of everybody. For more information about the nonprofits, you can go to nonprofitsradio.com and find out how to connect to listen to the program live every other Saturday from 2 to 3:30, approximately. And by approximately, I mean 2 to 3:30 approximately, and every other Saturday approximately, because, well, real life gets in the way sometimes. In addition to those efforts, we also, in the lecture series, we also have a number of social outreach programs going on at different times. There's Atheist Happy Hour Thursday at the Dog and Duck Pub beginning at around 7 o'clock. That's at 17th and Guadalupe. And after this program's over, most of the people involved get together and go to dinner. Currently we're going to Threadgill's. The show's on the air till 6 o'clock. We'll be down there around 6:30. That's at 301 West Riverside, I think, or is it East Riverside? I can't tell because I can't see the thing, but
301, yes.
Thank you. So we'll be down there. You don't have to be a member to come to anything we do, or almost anything we do. As long as you're not coming down to preach, proselytize, provoke, punch, or piss me off, you're welcome to come down.
You've had it before with Pete.
I have. It's been a frustratingly wonderful week full of email, which I probably won't get to because Jeff's got some stuff to go through, and I want to make sure that he gets to do all that. And you guys really probably would not be that interested in some of the emails that I received this week. It's shocking. We get lots.
A lot of shocking stuff today.
Yeah. So if you'd like to find out more about the Atheist Community of Austin or the programs, you can visit the various websites. And if you don't get through on the telephone today, or if you don't want to, you can email tv@atheist-community.org. That goes to myself. Jeff gets that, a lot of the other co-hosts and people behind the scenes. And you can also visit the Frequently Asked Questions page at the Atheist Experience and Atheist Community of Austin websites.
I'm not getting it.
You're not getting it?
No.
All right. That explains why I have to answer so much. Well, today is the day where you can pick up your slack, because now I turn everything over to you. What did you bring in to talk about?
Well, I don't even know how to begin. I can't believe that something this horrific has come out. But GQ magazine has turned up this story. In the days surrounding... I'm not on a mic. Well then, now you can hear me.
And that's every week we do something like that on purpose, just so you'll think it's live.
And really, it's always me because I'm so out of practice.
Really, we pre-record this and just
So I was about to say some horrific things.
Which means they didn't hear much of anything.
GQ magazine, of all places, has exposed this story. In the days surrounding the U.S. invasion of Iraq, cover sheets like the ones I'm about to show you began adorning top-secret intelligence briefings produced by Donald Rumsfeld's Pentagon. These cover sheets juxtapose war images with inspirational Bible quotes and were delivered by Rumsfeld himself to the White House, where they were read by the man who, just after September 11, referred to America's war on terror as a crusade. You guys ready to do some close-ups? This is in order. This is an actual cover sheet from a Defense Department briefing. It's got pictures of praying soldiers and the Bible quote, "Whom shall I send and who will go with us? Here I am, Lord, send me," from Isaiah 6:8. This is our national government, right? These are the guys supposed to represent all of us, no matter what religious persuasion, and supposedly not conducting a holy war. Here's one. "If I rise on the wings of the dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there your hand will guide me. Your right hand will hold me fast, O Lord." And it's a psalm something. Matt might know that.
No.
Can you imagine Donald Rumsfeld putting these things together or ordering his staff? Yeah, there's something George would really like. More war images, right? That's soldiers marching in tanks and things. And their arrows are sharp, all their bows are strung, their horses' hooves seem like flint, their chariot wheels are like a whirlwind. That's another Isaiah.
Yeah, Isaiah is a good one.
I have a lot of these, so be prepared to be completely freaked out. As this went on for months, at least the ones that are on the GQ website go on for at least 3 months. "Therefore, put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground," stay your course, so to speak. "And after you have done everything, to stand," from Ephesians. Here's the one that creeps me out the most. We all believed that the Bush administration thought this way, but here is pretty clear freaking evidence. Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and your plans will succeed. Doesn't matter whether they've actually got weapons of mass destruction over there.
You know, before the show,
you just have to say you think they do and commit it to the Lord, and you'll be successful.
Before the show, Steve asked if that was a fortune cookie, and we kind of laughed. And actually, it is, because that's from Proverbs, which is just a book full of fortune cookies. It's Jewish fortune cookies.
Here we go. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be terrified. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go, even if you go into a country that was no threat to us whatsoever. Bush must have especially liked this one. It's a picture of Saddam. It is God's will that by doing good you should silence the ignorant talk of foolish men. Seems to me, in retrospect, the foolish men whose talk has been silenced are the members of the Bush administration. Open the gates that the righteous nation may enter, the nation that keeps faith. Another Isaiah, and there's a big old archway made of swords. I guess that's in Tehran somewhere. Yeah. If we're Christian enough, then we get to win. Oh, this is long. I'm not quoting this whole thing. Daniel something or other about some disembodied human fingers floating around. Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Disembodied human fingers floating around and
actually
more military photos.
This one might be more significant than you think and worth actually reading.
It's not that I don't think it's significant. It's that it's so long I don't want to mess with it. You look at that. I'll just move on. Oh, God, this one's long also. Let's see. The king is not saved by a might army. There's a typo in it. A warrior is not delivered by great strength. A horse is a false hope for victory. Nor does it deliver anyone by its great strength. Behold, the eye of the Lord is on those who fear him, on those who hope for his loving kindness to deliver their soul from death. So you don't need to send enough troops to get the job done, even a job you shouldn't have been doing in the first place, because all you got to do is be Christian. That's all you got to do. This is in the White House during the Iraq War. Yes? You have a response to that?
No, the interesting thing about there being a typo there means that, first of all, they're not technologically savvy enough to know how to cut and paste. But it means that somebody actually sat there and typed it in from a Bible or a Bible website or whatever else.
Yeah.
So it's not like somebody just said, oh, I grabbed some quotes and stuck them in there.
There's a nice short and sweet one. Seek the Lord in his strength. Seek his face continually. Because, that has something to do with us winning the war in Iraq that we shouldn't have been in. Okay. You got a response to that one or no?
Well, see, Daniel's a book that most Christians identify as a book of prophecy. Right down to supposed prophecies about, Messiah and everything else. This particular one is where the supposed hand of God comes in and writes on the wall.
That's supposed to be God's disembodied fingers?
Yeah. That, your days are numbered, your kingdom's divided, and I'm going to take you out. And by using a verse like that, they're basically saying that, we are in the position of the good king, who has the authority of God to come in and take over this divided land.
So in case there was any doubt whatsoever, it wasn't just a few weird generals that said crazy religious things about the war in Iraq. It just wasn't. It wasn't. It was it was Rumsfeld and Bush, at least, on top of that.
The only thing that I'm happy about with this is that those weren't sent out to troops. That the average troop wasn't necessarily, they may have been getting similar messages from other people, but this it's bad, but it could have been worse, I guess.
I suppose that's true. But, this is the kind of stuff that we atheists make a big freaking deal all the time about separation of church and state. It's perfectly okay for George Bush to believe whatever he wants when he's in office doing his job, it's fine, but to hinge like the success of our nation in a war, to hinge the reason for the war on the biblical justifications, that's over a crazy line.
To me, though, this is a way, you know, without crafting a conspiracy. The Joint Chiefs are not going to let them hinge the success of our military venture on prayer.
Well,
they understand, you know, what it takes to win. This is more about motivating somebody to action in the first place. Yeah, there's pink over there.
It's gone now.
But yeah, this to me strikes me as the, you know, we're going to give our president his, you know, daily intelligence briefings, and we're going to include these not so subliminal messages about God directing people to war.
Yeah, I mean, what we need when we have a leader, whatever it is that they believe, we need them to make clear, rational decisions. That's what we need. And so it's not it's not that that the separation of church and state means that only a non-believer should be president. No matter how great that would be. It means that when you are in charge of our nation, you need to be level-headed and not deciding what to do and allowing your decisions to be influenced by, you know, weird ancient prophecies and stuff. That's just not cool. Not safe. Not sane. That's it. You thought I had a big, long thing. I don't have any more to say than that. I think those speak for themselves.
I can't possibly comment on a comment like that. There's something about this, though, that, you know, when I was talking about how you put verses like that on there in order to motivate and send a specific message. So
Yep.
you're talking to, you're basically, it's a method of propaganda, and you know your target audience.
But this wasn't propaganda. This is internal.
No, it's propaganda. It's propaganda to Bush. It is. They're trying to convince Bush to take some kind of action. It's just knowing your target audience. It's no different from what anybody would do. The thing is, though, in those cases where, let's say, all of that stuff had been removed, all of the religious stuff had been removed, and I'm just hypothesizing here about a president who's going to make decisions like that, who is a sincere believer, and even though nobody has actually pushed these particular verses on him, he's sitting around struggling with what decision should I make with regard to the war, and he decides to crack this book open, and he comes across a passage, any of those passages, and says, "Oh, God has, you know, given me the answer."
Yeah.
It's, you know, rather than me having to take any responsibility for the decision God has
directed. Cracking open the Bible at random and looking at a verse for inspiration is no different than consulting the magic 8-ball.
Well, except that there's more possible answers.
There's more possible answers, including, you know, the magic 8-ball does not say, you know, go kill them all.
Here, the cowering prisoners will soon be set free. They will not die in their dungeon, nor will they lack bread. Hey.
Everything's
cool. That's Isaiah 51:14.
Everything's cool. So that important rescue we had planned, no hurry.
Yeah. We don't need to hook anybody up. All right, well, we'll go ahead and...
That's just completely freaking irrelevant and should not enter into the decision-making at all on any level.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll go ahead and take some calls. We got Tony in Tulsa.
Yes, sir.
How are you?
I'm a long-time listener, first-time caller. I actually came across something this last week in my speech class. I'm going to college up here in Tulsa. Actually from Austin. I highly wait to get back there to you guys. But I came across a controversy because we were supposed to give a persuasive speech. There had to be over something controversial. And we had people talking about the death right and, you know, gun control, and I decided to talk about atheism. And everybody just, you know, you could see the fear in their eyes, like, you just don't touch that subject. And I said, why? It's absolutely the most controversial thing out there, just nobody wants to talk about it. And so, come to find out, everybody in my class was actually pretty good and was interested to hear about it, but unfortunately, my teacher was an all-out Christian because she even told me the reason why she probably have a problem with this is because our nation was founded as a Christian nation, which I was about to interject with her, but she holds on to my grade, and I was like, okay, I'll just wait for my speech to kind of persuade her, or hopefully at least try to get good grades out of it. I did a pretty good speech, I'd like to think. I even took a survey of the class of who lived their life by the Ten Commandments, and only 10% of the class was able to respond with me that they actually knew all 10 of them and could write them down. The other 90% unfortunately could not write the Ten Commandments, but the whole point of that is that I just wanted to prove to everybody that you don't have to live your life by the Bible to consider yourself to be a moral person. Because, you know, as we all know, the first 4 commandments are basically all self-promoting. You know, God's basically jealous and don't believe anybody before him, keep the Sabbath day holy, and all that. And I just tried to prove to the class that, you know, it was a legitimate thing that you can still be a free thinker and yet be a moral person. And I showed a statistic on how many atheists compared to religious people are in prison compared to all over American population. And my teacher, she actually said that I didn't point out different religious beliefs on that survey, so she had to take off points for it, when I actually did point out different religious beliefs, and my class remembered it, remembered quotes that I said, and she just took off all these points for it. And to me, I felt like that was...
Hey. What? First of all, why should you have to point out the different religious beliefs? This isn't atheism versus Christianity or atheism versus Muslim. It's a statistic. Out of those people who believe in God versus those who don't, how many are in prison? That's the only relevant. You shouldn't have to broken that down at all.
Well, I was just trying to just simply show the percentage of how many atheists there were in prison compared to how many Catholics and Protestants and Muslims. And I actually pointed out those few names, and I noticed that Christians were actually a 0.01% in the prison population. And she just said that I didn't even highlight those, and so she took off points for it. Basically, I thought that she was just trying to nitpick anything she could to try to get at me because she didn't agree with my particular conversation or my topic. But
so how much damage did that do to your grade on that?
Well, she had like this sheet that she gave me, you know, like what she covered and what she didn't cover. Everything was circled good that I covered. And she just wrote down there on the bottom a little comment like, you forgot to highlight this particular area, which me and the class actually do remember that I highlighted. And she gave me like about an 87% when the person that went after me was nervous, no eye contact, nothing, and he got a 97% on his overall speech.
What was his topic, by the way? Just out of curiosity.
I'm sorry?
What was his topic? Do you remember?
His topic was over net neutrality, which was, you know,
because that's controversial.
Yeah, it was kind of like I was just looking at the time like, man, when is this going to pass? One person actually talked about the death penalty and why we should have it, and I was actually, being the only atheist in class, said that I was against the death penalty. And when I posed the guy a question after he was done with his speech, I said, so how many people have ever been, you know, on death row that information came up afterwards that they were able to be, you know, let off the death penalty because they were proven to be innocent after all? And he's like, oh, there's a small percentage. I said, okay, how many people have been put to death that information has come up where they actually were proven to be innocent? He goes, oh, that's never happened. Everybody been put to death actually been proven that they deserve to die. And I was like, and all you guys believe in the Ten Commandments, which is the 6th one, which thou shalt not kill. I just sounded just completely, you know, hypocritic. And people, you know, interpret the rules the way they want to. And I thought it was just funny how I'm the only atheist and I was the one guy that was against, like, the death penalty. Because we know by putting somebody to death, you know, that absolves everything that person ever did wrong in their lifetime. So I just ran into firsthand basically trying to be the separation of church and state. And I felt like I was a forerunner because apparently after me, 2 other people now have actually signed up as atheism for their particular speech for their next class. So, and nobody had ever done it before.
Wow, cool.
I was trying to think of a question. You know, I can't really think of anything. I just, you know, you called me, you know, one of those big, huge fans, and yes, I am, and I really just wanted to call in and listen and talk to you guys. Jeff, I love your attitude, and Matt, you're so knowledgeable. It's just great to actually get a chance to talk to you guys. I want to meet you in person when I get back to Austin.
Well, come on down, and you can send me your speech, and I'll see if I would have given you a better grade, but don't count on it, because I'm actually pretty rough on people when it comes to grades. I don't.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate the honesty of it, and that's one reason why, you know, there's always this old saying, don't ever meet your idols, because they're probably going to shoot you down or not be the person you expect them to be. With you, on the other hand, at least give me something to open my eyes or give me to look at something in a better direction, because it's all about knowledge. I'm just trying to better myself, you know. And this whole thing with religion, and it's just so scary how it's just turning our world upside down in this country. It's unfortunate.
Well, thanks a lot for calling, Tony. Appreciate it. Let us know when you get to Austin.
Sorry to hear your troubles, man. Hang in there.
Oop. I didn't do that. I didn't hit the button.
Who's next?
I don't know, but I didn't get a dial tone on 2, so there may actually be something wrong with this. We've got, is it Jay in Fort Pickett?
Hello?
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 Jay?
Hey, you're on the air.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Hey, how you doing? I'm out here in Fort Pickett, Virginia. I'm doing Army training / school training, and the thing that sucks about this is we have no internet anywhere around here, so I was actually taking it upon myself to be selfish and call in and take up one of your lines so I can listen in on the show. And since I've been here, I met this guy. He's an evangelical Christian, and he told me about proof that he has that his particular God exists, and I was trying to goad him into calling today.
Yeah?
And, well, looks like he's missing in action at the moment, but as soon as he resurfaces, I will make sure to give him the phone number so he can give you guys a call.
That'd be great.
But, I mean, if you guys don't mind, I'd like to stay on hold to listen to the rest of the show.
Actually, that'd be completely unfair, Jay.
Oh, no!
Yeah.
Okay, well, I completely understand, and I can always go back and just listen to the show online.
Yeah. If it weren't possible to listen to it online after the fact, I might be tempted, but when the phone lines are completely full and we're getting calls from all over the world, it'd be unfair just to let somebody hang out and listen on hold. Although, oddly enough, we have people do that on accident all the time, but or for, I guess accident's not the right word. So have you ever been in a foxhole, Jay?
Well, that depends on how you define foxhole.
Under fire.
Not bullets, but I would say mortars and RPGs, yes, but not necessarily.
And you're an atheist?
Yes, I am an atheist in a foxhole, man.
There we go. For that alone, I'd almost let you stay on hold, but it'd still be unfair. But I do appreciate your service, and there are others here who do as well. When I was actually in, I was not an atheist. Jen was, and Jen's here. So thanks a lot for calling, Jay, and
okay.
You know, definitely.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
When you get the phone call from this guy, his name is Bart. When you get the phone call, just forgive him, Father Matt, for he know not what he does. That's all I'm saying.
I don't presume anything. If he can have a good conversation and present his points, then great. Evidently, anyway, we'll see. Thanks, Jay.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thanks, man.
And from Denmark, is it Kaya or Kia?
Hello?
Hello?
Oh, hi. It's Kia.
Kia.
And I'm a guy.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Right. And I just, first I wanted to say that I'm really glad that you make the show. I really enjoy it. And I'm a great fan of it. And I've been an atheist since the age of reason. So I've been an atheist since I was 2 years old. And I just wanted to ask, I have this friend, and he's really cool and stuff. And he's a Muslim. And we talked a lot about, like, Islam and stuff. Mm-hmm. And one of the things he said was, for example, that the Quran was unaltered. And I thought, what's your take on that? I mean, does it mean anything? Is it true?
As far as I know, it's true, and it doesn't mean a thing.
Oh.
So is War and Peace.
Okay. Then another thing was he doesn't believe in evolution. So why? How do I prove to him that evolution is true? Like really, really well.
Best advice that I could give you is give him the URL for, what is it, talkorigins.org.
Talk Origin, right, okay.
.org. Any question he's got, he can go there and find the scientific response.
Okay.
And, but a person who's really deeply committed to not wanting to believe a particular thing is not going to be swayed by good arguments.
Quite a lot of doubt.
Okay.
So, right. Was that it? I think it was it, yeah. So, I just wanted to ask, like, a trivial question for the fans.
Sure.
Matt, why did you shave your head? I mean, in the start, you had this moon, right? And then later, you shaved your head.
Yeah. It's really pretty simple. I started doing the show more often, and the lights are from the top, so even when I had hair, my hair has always been thin and fine, and so it looked like I was more bald than I was, and I figured as long as I was going to look more bald than I was, I might as well be bald.
Oh. Well, I think it looks cooler.
Well,
I mean,
thanks.
What is it with shaving your hair and getting goatees on that show? I mean, you have like 4 hosts.
I don't know.
Jeff is the nonconformist.
I'm expecting Jeff to...
No,
Jeff will never do
it.
No.
Well,
would probably do that before Jeff does.
I really love following it, so keep on doing it.
Well, thank you very much for calling. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Mia.
Goodbye.
Yeah, I don't think Jeff will do that. I think Jen would shave her head before Jeff does his, I think, and I don't think Jen's too enthused. She's shaking her head. No, it's not happening. And I'm not growing my hair back, no matter who wants me to, because I don't have.
What if you want you to?
I'm not sure that would matter, because there may not be anything there to actually grow back. But, we've got, is it Ken in San Bernardino?
Hello?
Hey, Ken.
Is this Ken?
What's up? Well, I just wanted to say, as far as I define proof as something, I give an argument, and if you can't refute it logically and scientifically, then you have to accept that. Is that okay or no?
No.
Why?
Because just because you can present something that can't be disproven doesn't mean it's true. You've actually got it ass backwards. In order for something to be believable, in order for a claim to be, in order for it to be justifiable to believe in a claim, there has to be evidence to support it.
Yeah. Without evidence, it's entirely possible. It's entirely possible to form an internally consistent logical argument without it being true. Right? All you got to do is feed false assumptions into it, right? False premises.
Well, if it's
so, I can say, everyone from Italy is green, and Fred is from Italy, therefore Fred is green. There's nothing wrong with my logic. What's wrong is that, in fact, everybody from Italy is not green. It's a factual problem.
Oh, well, okay. If it's consistent with reason and science, that's what I'm saying. Did you hear? I said that. I said if it's consistent with logic and science, you can't refute it scientifically or logically, then you have to accept it. That's what I'm saying. Is that okay?
Have to is pretty strong, but
well, let me just throw it out.
I'm willing to move forward, tentatively on that basis. Matt?
The way the way logical arguments work is that you present your premises and draw a conclusion from them. And if the argument is a valid structure, then the conclusion must be sound if the premises are sound. Now, we can question premises all day long. Is that all? I mean, because if you're saying, I'm going to present something, and as long as you can't disprove it, you have to admit that it must be true. That's nonsense.
Oh, no, I never said that. I'm sorry that if you thought that.
Okay,
go ahead. Let's move on then. Can I move on?
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
I called last week.
Okay. When you trace all the way back to the expansion of the universe,
you're done.
You get what they call what?
When you trace all the way back to the expansion of the universe, you're done. You can't go any further back.
Whoa. Am I done? You're gonna hang me?
No, let it.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
He's finishing your sentence for you. That's all.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was gonna. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. My bad.
You get what you call a singularity that comes to a boundary to space and time itself.
So what we have is really 5 options here we can conclude. We can conclude that there was a natural cause, which we only have 3 options that are known. The multiverse, the Big Bounce, and the quantum fluctuation, the vacuum. But these options have been discarded by non-theistic scientists for a variety of reasons. They contradict science and it's just simple logic. So, you know...
excuse me.
Uh-huh.
As far as I'm aware, not all of those things have been rejected by the scientific community as a whole. Are you simply saying you can find scientists... Excuse me.
No.
I don't mean as a whole, like all of them. I mean the vast majority of them. There's a consensus. No.
Well, most of
those
them,
things are not. They are not all rejected by a scientific consensus among the scientists and the scientific community. That's not true.
They're certainly not. They're certainly not rejected.
Most of them.
They're certainly
Which ones aren't?
They're certainly not rejected in your oversimplification that they defy simple logic. And by the way, even if there were no explanations, even if all of these had been disregarded, so what?
Well, I was going to go
Getting rid of possible answers does not make some other answer true. You cannot go through. You cannot go through. Shut up for a second, please. You cannot go through and say this didn't work, this didn't work, this didn't work, this didn't work, and in any way ever for the rest of time, if you did this, get to therefore this must be true until you have identified that you have actually enumerated all possibilities.
I know that. You're getting ahead of me.
I'm so far ahead of you. I heard this shit last week when you called. Go ahead.
Yeah, but this is not... Okay.
So wait a minute. You have just conceded, Ken, that only most of these things that you listed have been rejected by scientists. I'm not even sure that's true, but suppose it is. Which ones haven't? Because as long as there are still some in play, the argument you're trying to make still won't work.
I'm saying that as far as... Because they're inconsistent with science and reason, guys.
If they were inconsistent with science and reason, don't you think there would be a consensus among scientists that they needed to be rejected?
No, it's not a democracy.
You have conceded that there isn't. Huh?
It's not a democracy. It doesn't matter whether or not they...
So you are saying, at this point, I'm sorry, I know there's a danger here of getting into an argument from authority, but could you please tell me your credentials as a scientific cosmologist?
Well, I don't.
Because you're asking us to take your word over the consensus of actual working scientists.
No. Do you want me to get into the irrationality of these options?
No, I want you to tell us what your credentials are. Well, if you are saying that we're supposed to agree with you instead of with the vast majority of working scientists.
Actually, I'll disagree. I'd rather hear you tell me why these are irrational, because I don't think for a second you understand these at all, or that you can demonstrate why they're irrational. I don't care what your credentials are. If you're right, you're right. Go ahead.
Okay. I'll get into that after I go.
No, you'll get into that when you call back next week. You don't get to dictate when you're going to get to something. You called in last week with this first cause crap, and you call in this week with another version of the same thing. Put your thoughts together. Don't begin with statements that say, I'm going to talk about something, and as long as you can't refute it, it's therefore true. And don't make broad-based generalizations saying, here are some possible explanations for the universe. But they're irrational, and they violate simple reason, and the scientists have rejected them. It's nonsense.
He agreed that it was not. He admitted when challenged that was in fact not true. His argument doesn't start, even out of the gate. He wanted us to accept that assumption, which he himself knew was not true.
Which is why I tried to head you off at the pass in the first place when you said that when you get back essentially to the event horizon, and I interjected, you're done, that's because you're done. Everything else is speculation. Well, is the multiverse hypothesis accurate? Hell, I don't know. I don't even know if I understand it enough to say whether or not it's possible or probable. It doesn't matter. When there's sufficient evidence to justify an explanation, then that will be the explanation that is justified. And until then, none of them are. And no matter how many of them you
and you're absolutely right. Even if it had been the case that all of the hypotheses concerning the origins of the universe that have ever been conceived of by scientists have been subsequently rejected by scientists, even if that were the case, which is what he was trying to say, even though he, when challenged, admitted he knew that that was not true. Even if it were the case, that would not mean God did it.
Yeah. And by the way, we don't come on the show, atheism has no tie to this particular argument at all, and we don't come on here to posit a particular explanation for the origins of the universe or anything else. Okay, you know, it's kind of like saying that 2 plus 2 doesn't equal 8 or 15 or 17 or 19. You can go through all the and try to tell me all the things that 2 plus 2 does not equal to, or did I say 2 plus 3? I don't know. In any case, you can go through all of the things that it doesn't equal to, but until you identify what it does equal and why, you haven't done a thing. Telling you know, 2 plus 2 does not equal 8 or 13, therefore it must equal 57. Ha-ha, because those are the only answers I can think of.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. I'm happy that people who can think of more answers are working on the problems. Yeah. We got John in Coos Bay, Oregon.
Hey, Matt. Hi, Jeff.
I'm good.
How many times do we have to go through this stuff? Anyway, wow.
How many times are there?
Oh, I think it's infinity. But anyway, I wanted to address something that Jeff brought up at the beginning of the show, and that's just the idea that, you know, kind of the, frankly, the inherent dangers of electing someone that is a hardcore fundamentalist believer. Because, you know, you were earlier saying, you know, it's okay for them to believe whatever they want to believe, but they need to make rational decisions for us all. And I think the only problem with that is that I don't know how you ask someone who literally believes in the truthfulness or the reality, the metaphysical reality of the Bible, to divorce their decision-making, you know, process from that belief, because they really believe they're making these decisions in reality.
That's a darn good question, and it's an issue for the voters.
Yeah, it's frustrating because ultimately they think that they're doing the best thing, but you know, as far as I'm concerned, obviously we're concerned it's crazy.
They're welcome to think they're doing the best thing. They're welcome to believe whatever they want, and voters are welcome to judge their capabilities on that basis.
Yeah, honestly, I think this is an issue that's come up over and over again. For me, this is, idealistically speaking, it's a much simpler issue than anybody makes it out to be, and it's really simple. As an individual, you are entitled to have whatever beliefs you have. You are entitled to follow the dictates of your conscience. As an elected representative, you are expected and required to set those aside when it comes to policy decisions, because you represent more people who have a wider range of views than your particular view. If you're and everybody should be given the option to run for office and demonstrate that they can do this, and as soon as we find out that they can, that's when they should be removed. That's when it should be clear that we don't need to elect this individual again or possibly impeach them if their decisions have actually led to harm because they relied on their religion. I don't see this as a huge deal in most cases, because quite honestly, at least in the United States and at least among Christians, most of them, I'm sorry, their religion actually doesn't play that big of a role in the decision-making process for real issues.
But wouldn't you say the last 8 years, Matt, is a little bit of a reputation of that position?
No.
Really?
I'd say that that's a specific individual. I was talking about most. I was talking about, it doesn't matter. I was talking about most. What I said was, for most Christians, this isn't.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'll agree with that.
For that specific one, it was, which is why I wouldn't have voted for it.
That's just why we need to, you know, scrutinize political figures carefully and either vote for them or not as reason dictates.
The problem, of course, is that if you happen to share the religious views of the majority, you are pretty much free to violate that expected trust that I was talking about to your heart's content, because you have the voting block to continue to get elected. And then you're only going to be, you're essentially going to be there until either, term limits kick you out, or until you do something so egregious that even your base who thinks just like you says, okay, we've had enough. That's why Rick Perry will be governor of Texas as long as he wants to.
Well, that's why I'm so encouraged by the recent trends, and actually I think that they'll, that is the rise in the non-believer or the people who don't identify themselves as Christian in particular, I guess.
Yeah.
That's why I'm encouraged by that. I actually think we'll see in the next few years that should continue to rise. I guess that's the expectation anyway.
Did you want to talk about Dobson's latest public retreat?
The give up?
Yeah.
No. Guys, I'm going to go. Okay. Let's open the line for somebody else. Thanks so much. Enjoy the show.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
Okay, bye-bye.
Yeah,
James Dobson, Focus on the Family, has now twice made major public announcements that that the religious right has failed, that they've lost, that they can get no traction now, that it's pretty much over until they can get back into the seat of power. And that's some progress.
Woohoo! Yeah, I honestly don't think it's remotely true. I think it's a way to bring in money and re-energize people.
Well, in this latest one, he prefaced his statement saying, "We are not asking you for money to fund anything. We're not going to give you the numbers of people to call to complain. We're not going to do any of this stuff because there's nothing to do." But at that point, I start taking him seriously. When fundamentalists start, not asking for money, they're serious.
You silly, gullible individual. What better way to get money than to say, look, I'm not asking you for money. For years they've been doing it. You get the preacher. I'm not, this money isn't for me. It's for Jesus. That's step one. And then it's, I'm not asking for your money. I don't want to give you a penny. You know how much money they get after they say that? Just as much as they got before when they said it was for Jesus.
Okay.
I have facts and figures to make that.
I stand corrected.
To make that up. Did you get that? I'm just pulling this out of my.
I'm not corrected. In fact, Matt was lying.
I am being dishonest. However, I do think that's the case.
Okay.
They're not going to turn money away.
No. I think as long as they think there's any scrap of a chance of continuing to make a career at this, they're going to keep trying to do it.
It's like the coach, that he's tried motivating him and kicking him in the butt and everything else, and finally it's just, well, I don't know what to do with you guys anymore. I give up. And of course, then that gets the team together and say, no, we can't let the great coach Dobson down. We've got to actually do this, and it will get crap.
We'll see.
They're not, eventually, I'd like to see no groups like. I'd like to see there be no need for our group.
Would you?
Yeah.
That would be sad.
It would be, no. The day when there's no need for the ACA.
Can we do it just for fun still?
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough then.
Just like, once you're done with the Focus on the Family, you guys can still get together for progressive brunches and stuff.
All right.
We've got, another one? Is it Adrian in Halifax?
Yeah, it certainly is. Hey, Matt, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good. Hey, Jeff. I'm a huge fan of the show. Just wanted to say that. I've been watching it for a while. Anyway, I have a quick question about, I hope it's quick, about morality. I've been having this argument with a particular family member who's a dyed-in-the-wool faith head, as I've heard them discussed before. And basically, the geometry of the argument is around morality and how, he has the standpoint of if you don't have a God, if you don't have a higher authority, then there is no morality. There is no, everything's relative, right? I'm not too sure what the proper term for that is, but, I've tried to explain to him, I have the same humanistic morality that you have. It's just that you think it comes from God, and I think it comes from genetics and society and so on. But I still can't see. Sorry, go ahead.
May I? My favorite answer to this is Euthyphro's dilemma. You familiar with this?
No.
Write this down. EUTHYPHRO. Look that up. Euthyphro's dilemma is something from, what is that, Plato talking about Socrates, telling a story about Socrates. And it's a story of this young man who's taking his own father to court, and he's all pumped up with self-righteousness because he's being so good. And Socrates asks him, you know, how do you know you're doing the right thing? And the man says, well, I'm doing what is commanded by the gods. And Socrates asks, is what the gods command you to do right because the gods command it? Or is it right in and of itself and the gods are just informing you of it? Now the problem, this has been resurrected and pointed out to Christians. The problem for Christianity is they want their God to be the lawgiver. Well, if what's right is just inherently right and the God only tells you what it is, you can, you know, cut the middleman and go straight to doing what's right. If, on the other hand, it's right because just because the God says so, then the God tomorrow could make up a completely different rule and say this is right now, and morality becomes just as mutable as Christians claim that it would be without a God. So they're not happy either way. The traditional way out for apologists is this nonsense about God's nature. They say, well, it really is, it's number two. It's because God says so. But the thing is, God's nature is such that he can only command the behavior that he commands. He's not going to change his mind because it's inherent to him, right? And they think they've solved it then. The next question is, where did the God get his nature from? Because if the God decided what his own nature was going to be, right, if he's self-created, then his moral rules are arbitrary. It's whatever he decided at that time. And if he ever decides to recreate himself or change himself, he could, right? He'd have to have that power. On the other hand, if the God did not create himself, then he's not really the author of morality. He's just the mouthpiece of morality, and whatever mysterious forces are the reason why his nature is the way it is, that's the source of morality. And once again, you can cut the middleman.
Yeah, I see. I definitely see where you're going with that. I guess the thing is that the argument posed by the person that I've been having this argument with isn't that sophisticated. He basically takes the stance.
And he's not going to make a sophisticated argument. His claim is you have to have a guy to make the rules or else there's no rules, right?
Exactly.
And the way, the first thing you need in the argument is to show him it can't be the way he thinks it is. It just cannot be that a God is where morality comes from. It doesn't work.
There's a slightly different variety of this that I've talked about before, which was, for example, especially among Christians and especially among fundamentalists who think there's a God and a devil, how do they know God's the good one and devil's the evil one? There's two possibilities. Either they have their own moral code and they are assessing the actions of these characters, fictional or otherwise, and determining that this is the good one and this is the evil one, because this is the one that is most consistent with my moral code and this is the one that is least consistent with my moral code. If so, then they are their own moral authority. If they are saying that they have their moral code because this God gave it to them, then basically you're in a situation where you have this all-powerful being who has told you what is good so that it confirms that he's good, which is exactly the thing an evil being were going to do if he were going to confuse you.
Sure.
Right. Yeah, the only possible way out is to say, well, no, it's got to be God because he's the more powerful one, which is the same as saying might makes right.
Plus, if you add an O to God, you get good. It's just that obvious.
Yeah.
Well, hope so.
All right,
This was helpful to you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. We'll see how much mileage I get, but either way, I'm going to keep listening to the show. Thanks a lot, guys.
Adrian, if the argument... did you go?
Well,
Yeah, I'm here.
If the argument really is just as simple as there needs to be some authority in order to impose moral codes versus the claim that everything else would just end up as anarchy and subjective morals and everything's relative, we actually do have those systems. First of all, I am the ultimate authority for what I consider to be moral or ethical, etc. However, I have shared views that I share with other people, some people in this room, and there may be people in this room that disagree on things. But we live in a collective cooperative society, and we only impose the rules that we agree on. And in the areas where there are differences, we go to like a higher set of rules, which is, I may think that you're a moron who's endangering yourself this way, but I grant you the right to do that, and your rights and freedoms end where mine began. And so there's a subtle difference between how we go about enacting laws and determining what we're going to allow in society, but that in and of itself, though, is still pretty much arbitrary. What's acceptable in this society in the United States right now is different from what was acceptable in the United States 20 years ago, 50 years ago, 100 years ago, 500 years ago, and everywhere else. Sorry?
Yeah, I've tried to...
Obviously in the land that was before, the land that time forgot. The land that
I've tried to
stole
speak
from
to him about zeitgeist. I guess that's the term for it. You know, the social acceptance of what's acceptable.
The change of ethos.
I think it's sad. I think this individual, as are many people, they instead of following a scientific method of everything where they form a conclusion based on the facts, I think this individual in particular takes the facts and tries to bend them to his already formed conclusion.
Well, he's looking for an easy answer. But you know, if morality were easy, we wouldn't need even a God to tell us what what right and wrong. In fact, life is complicated, and difficult moral decisions are tough. They're complex, right? There's often not a perfect answer. And so those people that look for the easy answer, they just want a rule they can apply in every situation so they don't have to worry about it.
Exactly.
It's lazy.
Yeah, it is. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Adrian.
All right, bye.
We got, is it Paul in Dublin?
Yeah. Hello.
How are you?
Hello, Jeff. How are you?
Hey.
Basically, what I was going to talk about today is just, did you ever hear of the Irish defamation bill recently?
Yes, I've heard of that.
Well, did you hear about the changes that are trying to be made to it?
No.
No.
Well, on the topic of doom and gloom, since you had another topic about doom and gloom earlier on today, recently it's been put forward that the blasphemous libel bill has basically, they're trying to amend it now.
Yeah.
And basically it's because of Article 40 of the Irish Constitution guarantees the freedom of speech, and it qualifies it by stating, the state shall endeavour to ensure that organs of public opinion, such as the radio, the press, the cinema, while preserving the rightful liberty of expression, including criticism of government policy, shall not be used to undermine public order or the morality of the authority of the state. It then goes on to say the publication or utterance of blasphemous, seditious, or indecent material is an offence which shall be punishable in accordance with law.
And that's already in your Constitution?
That's already in the Constitution.
Okay.
But nothing was really done with it, so there never was a law against really any of that.
Okay. Right. It was never spelled out what the punishment was going to be.
Yeah.
Right.
Because basically it was, I'm not sure whether they just figured out they're trying to, put a law against blasphemy was going to be, they probably just didn't think it was going to happen.
Yeah.
But recently they have decided to try and enforce one, and it basically some of the backstory headline news of Ireland in the last few weeks. To basically a quick rundown of it now. Last year, there was an attempt to make an amendment to the Constitution to take out the part about blasphemy, because, insulting someone's invisible friend, even though you don't believe in them, it shouldn't really, count as a law, and you shouldn't really be able to get prosecuted under that, considering, you're supposed to be guaranteed freedom of speech. But now, Dermot O'Hearn, one of the Irish Taoiseachs, Dermot O'Hearn, Minister for Justice Dermot O'Hearn, proposes to insert a new section into the defamation bill, stating, "A person who publishes or utters blasphemous matter shall be guilty of an offence and shall be liable, upon conviction, on indictment, to a fine not exceeding €100,000.
Wow.
€100,000.
So at the
100-000.
So there's one faction in your government that is trying to get the blasphemy reference removed from the Constitution?
No, he's trying to enforce.
Earlier you said
there has been people trying to. There was an attempted referendum.
And did they
made
fail?
last year?
They
that
failed.
was trying to, take it out of the bill, basically, because it's ridiculous.
And did they fail?
Well, I don't think anything was done with it at the time.
Okay.
So basically, right now they're trying to enforce the law that they're going to be charged a fine not exceeding €100,000, which is just ridiculous.
What are the odds, do you think, that this is going to pass?
Well, the Minister for Justice, Dermot O'Hearn, is a devout Catholic.
Yeah.
So it's very likely that at least if it doesn't go through with €100,000, it's going to go through with something.
So basically, basically you've got a guy who, on a regular basis, blasphemes Protestants and Muslims just by being a Catholic, just by participating in his own. But what these people don't understand is that it's blasphemy for you to practice your own religion. You are blaspheming others if you say anything at all in public, even if even if you're just praying. This stuff makes no sense to me.
Yeah, well, basically they're trying to bring it in now, so that basically any form of blasphemy is basically illegal. Well, it will be illegal if this does come in, which means that if you are walking along in the street and say something blasphemous and somebody hears it, they can report you to the guards, basically.
Have they spelled out precisely what is blasphemy? I mean, is there a list of you can't say this, you can't say this, you can't say that?
I've got one open here. I've got one open here.
If you find it, would you send it to me so I can say all of that and people can broadcast it in Ireland?
Yeah, well, it is already being broadcast in Ireland by Atheist Ireland, but the amount of people that go onto it, there's not very many, to be perfectly honest.
It's of course sad to hear that this is going on in Ireland. We get this kind of crap all the time in the U.S. with various states. Generally, it's at the state level.
But do you get the offer of being charged €100,000 per offence? That would be roughly maybe $150,000 possibly.
I wouldn't put it past them. There have been so many cases. I'm not gonna be able to dredge up a specific offense. But what I'm saying is, yeah, they're trying to pull this stuff now, and they're trying to pull it because of the rise of unbelief across the world.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's the success of Dawkins and Hitchens and over here Dennett and Harris. Yeah. I'm sure the success of their books and the statistics that we're seeing now of people giving up religion, I'm sure that's got them terrified into a frenzy, and they're trying to circle the wagons. So on one level, you can look at this sort of thing as desperation.
Yeah, it pretty much is. Well, to me and a lot of the people I've talked to like, I've got Christian friends, I've talked to them, I've talked to atheist friends, I've got a couple of Muslim friends online, I've got basically friends of all faiths, and none of them think it's a good idea.
Yeah. What kind of weak, pansy-ass God do you have that if somebody speaks out against him, he needs them to be fined? I mean, he can't stand up for himself.
And the money isn't even going to be going to him,
and
so...
Just to clarify, this still does have to go up for a vote, right?
Yeah, but you see, a lot of the Irish politicians and the people on the committee are religious in some way, and they're probably going to end up making it so that any form of blasphemy against any religion would basically count. So it's basically everyone else's rights are going to be held, apart from people who do not believe in a God.
Yeah.
Or are skeptical.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I just go through a couple of things that would be blasphemy under this law?
Sure.
The publication of basically any work from Richard Dawkins. This is one of the bits I have to say. Publication or saying this could be illegal in Ireland if the new blasphemy law is passed. This is just a quote from The God Delusion. The God of the Old Testament is arguably the most unpleasant character in all fiction, jealous and proud of it, a petty, unjust, unforgiving a petty, unjust, unforgiving control freak, a vindictive, bloodthirsty ethnic cleanser, a misogynistic, homophobic, racist, infanicidal, I can't say that, genocidal, filicidal, pesticidal, megalomaniacal, sadomasochistic, capriciously malevolent bully.
Yeah, which Dawkins himself characterizes as an attempt at humor.
Yeah, and it's just unbelievable that they're just going to try and anything basically bad, or even if you just say God is fiction as a joke, that is going to be...
I don't need to say it as a joke. And by the way, would it be illegal for you to listen to the nonprofits?
Well, that's actually the next thing on my list. Videos, satire, movies, documents, basically anything that you can read, listen to, or write that you blaspheme in, it's going to be under this law. Jesus Christ the musical, Jesus Will Survive, will be illegal in Ireland. You couldn't put it up on YouTube, you couldn't watch it in your own home. Well, you could watch it in your own home, you just have to be careful that no policemen come to your door.
I'm not sure how they have no authority over us making the show. So it's does your list include just the production of such things or watching such things?
If you're in Ireland and you produce it, basically you're not going to be able to produce.
So we're okay.
Full stop. Yeah, you are okay, but not if basically. Okay, I've got a YouTube channel here in Ireland, but if this does actually pass, and I post quite a few of the Atheist Experience videos. So if this does pass, and they find out that I'm uploading the Atheist Experience videos, and they somehow find out how to contact me. Yep, that's me, basically.
Well, here's a potential piece of advice. This is what generally happens here in the U.S. when we have similar issues like over the Ten Commandments monuments. When the Christians argue that they have the right to put their religious beliefs up on public property, then other organizations can claim the same right, right? So, and what happens is it's not atheists. One of the most famous cases concerns this group of pyramid worshipers that wanted to put one of their pyramids up on public land after it was deemed okay for the Christians to have their Ten Commandments monument. And my point is, as Matt was saying, all religions blaspheme one another regularly by their very existence. So one possible way out, assuming it does pass, is just, stay low and wait for the fireworks to begin between the religionists.
Start the fireworks. Every religious television program that's produced, start complaining. They're blaspheming. They're blaspheming. They're blaspheming.
Right.
The worst thing is that even if they maybe like a priest giving a sermon on a Sunday morning or any morning, any afternoon or full stop, if they even jokingly say "God damn," they're in violation.
Yeah.
Which is just in my it's just ridiculous. Full stop. There's nothing else to say about it.
Yeah. So, you know, that's a possible course of action.
Would you mind if I just gave out the name of a website that is basically going against this? It basically gives a rundown of the entire details of what's going on.
Sure.
Well, it's very simple. It's just www.blasphemy.ie. And that just basically goes through the general discussion and comments about it.
Make sure you have your website hosted somewhere outside of Ireland.
Oh, it's not actually my website.
Oh, well, strongly advise the people that run it to host it outside of Ireland.
It's pretty much hosted by Catholics, Protestants, Mormons, Islams, people from the Jedi Church apparently, Judaists, I'm trying to figure out as well, actually, maybe you could put some more light in this, if Scientology would come under the heading of blasphemy, because they're deemed as a religion apparently in Ireland, and there are Scientology centers.
Oddly enough, Scientology might not. Now, granted, they've been outlawed in a number of places, but on the surface, they will claim that their religion is actually compatible with all other religions. And so on the surface level, they may be the only ones who aren't blaspheming anybody. Now, of course, once you've paid enough money, you may find out that there's actually a claim or two that might be considered blasphemous. But off the top of my head, just going by what the actual religions claim, Scientology might be the only one that's safe. Maybe they're behind this. Maybe they're behind this blasphemy law.
Wouldn't be surprised. Wouldn't put it past them.
Well, thanks a lot for calling, Paul, and we'll make another website and let us know.
That's cool. Thanks very much,
I wish you luck, but you're Irish already.
Oh, can I just say one more thing?
Sure.
Apparently, even the Irish saying "Bigura," if this law goes through, you can't say it anymore. A lot of the Irish stereotypes are going to be null and void.
Ah.
Yep. So.
But you're still going to make whiskey and stuff, right?
I'll have to go for making something stronger. Maybe poaching.
All right, thanks, Paul.
Cool. Laters.
We got, is it Greg in Tucson?
Yes, hi.
Why is it pronounced Tucson when it looks like Tucson?
You got me. I'll have to research that.
What do you got for us?
Well, I have a question about a Bible verse. I'd first like to give you a little bit of background, if I can. I'll make it real brief.
Okay.
I was brought up in the Lutheran Church, but my entire family is Christian, but it never took with me. I never, thinking back, I never considered myself a Christian. I quit going to church at a young age, and throughout my teens and 20s, I was, just say, a non-believer. I never called myself an atheist or an agnostic or anything. But then about, about 20 years ago, I started believing in God. That's another story. I won't get into the reasons why. But the reason that's important, again, I didn't think of myself as a Christian. I have always had a problem with organized religion, and I saw the holes in the Bible, even though I didn't really know that much about the Bible, just what I'd heard in church when I was younger and so forth. So about 5 years ago, I started studying the Bible, and I tried to do it with an open mind, knowing that I would tend to be trying to debunk it. So I tried not to do that, in other words. And this is the passage that just stopped me in my tracks. It's Exodus 21, verses 20 and 21. If a man strikes his male or female slave with a rod, and he dies at his hand, he shall be punished. If, however, he survives a day or two, no vengeance shall be taken, for he is his property.
Yep.
And now, this, before I get to my question, this just, like I said, it stopped me in my tracks. At first, was my very first real realization that God is saying right here that it is okay to have slaves.
Oh, I mean, it says a lot more than that.
Yeah, it does. But that was the first thing I thought. You know, I'd heard them talk about slaves in the Bible, but here God is actually condoning slavery and saying it's okay for, you know, a human being that he supposedly created to be owned by another human being.
Mm-hmm.
And then the real obvious one is God seems to think that, you know, like if I hit somebody over the head with a blunt object and they die right away or they die next week, you know, I'm responsible for that person's death, right?
Yep.
I mean, everybody knows that today.
Everybody except for the guy who wrote that verse.
Right, exactly.
Which luckily wasn't a god.
Yeah. Well, that's
because
let me tell you
we would be really screwed if there were in fact a god and he wrote that.
Yeah.
That would be pretty horrifying.
Exactly. You know what's weird? I'm going to sidetrack myself a little bit. I'm usually not naive, but I naively thought when I read this that, oh my God, even any Christian who reads these words would have to admit that God couldn't possibly have written these words. And I called, I have one friend who's totally a fundamentalist, George Bush-loving Christian. And amazingly, we get along very well on everything else. And I read this to him, and you would not believe the way he rationalized.
Oh, yes, I would.
Yeah. Well, we've been doing this show for a long time.
I've had this particular passage rationalized at least 5 times in the past month by people in email.
It's amazing.
Yeah. What's funny is that most of what they end up doing when they rationalize, all you have to do is go grab another verse to show that they're wrong.
Yeah. He said things like, I'm sure you've heard this a dozen times. He said, well, first, they treated slaves very differently in those days.
Yes, they beat them with rods.
Yeah, until they died.
That's what I said.
Yeah. It's the dumbest thing in the world. You're experiencing exactly what I've experienced. I point out a passage that says you can beat your slaves as long as they don't die within a day or two. And by the way, why a day or two? Can we be a little bit more specific? I mean, if you're going to put a timeline on it, yeah. If they don't die after a day, but they die on the second day, can you just say, well, it wasn't a day?
Yeah. He can suffer, severe brain injuries. He can lose an eye or a limb.
Well, except you'd have to lose an eye, too.
What?
You'd have to lose an eye, too.
If it's a slave?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
The thing is, so basically what it encourages is beating somebody to death in a way that takes a while, that doesn't do damage that you'd have to be done to you. But yeah, that's the first thing is, oh, no, you guys, you're so naive. You've bought into this myth. You simply don't understand that slavery was so much different back then. You have this concept of slavery from, the nasty things that happened in the South and, from watching Roots and everything. No, you moronic asshole. Not only does the book talk about hitting them with a rod and letting them, and you're not in trouble if it takes them more than 2 days to die. The point here, you thick dimwit, is that it advocates owning another person as property. Right. That's wrong. I don't care if you treat them like a frickin' angel, like they're the best thing that's ever happened to you. They're not property. To say that you get to own another person and pass them down to your children as property is simply freaking wrong. Done. That's
exactly.
Yeah.
But in fact, it does say go ahead and beat them.
Like how many goats and how many slaves do you have?
It's also very common for Christians to try to get out of this by pulling it's the Old Testament trick, right? God could only really motivate. He was trying to make slavery less bad by putting in that rule, but that's really as far as he could go back then. Yeah, find the part in the New Testament where it explicitly says Slavery is wrong. There's no such thing as owning another human being. Try to find it. It doesn't exist.
Well, do they talk about slavery in the New Testament?
Masters. Anyway, what's that?
Do they talk about slavery in the New Testament?
Yeah, it says servants obey your masters.
Oh, yeah.
There's one bit they like to bring up, and I'm sure Matt will know chapter and verse. I'm not the Bible expert. About some slave that is personally known to the writer of that New Testament book, and he's asking for that guy to be set free, but it's because he's a good Christian man or something. But that is not an anti-slavery statement. It's a, hey, let my personal friend off the hook because he's one of us statement.
Huh.
That's it.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that I realized after reading this, I don't know if you guys have already talked about this or have any thoughts about it, and that will bring me to my question. I thought, well, here are the Jews. They had just been, I believe this passage is when God is giving the Jews the laws right after the Ten Commandments, right?
Yeah.
And God had allegedly freed them as slaves in Egypt, right?
Yeah.
So my question is, how long had they been free at this point? How long since they'd been freed from slavery to this moment in the Bible?
I couldn't say off the top of my head. If I'm remembering right, I mean, this is essentially not an entire generation has even passed at this point. But right. I might be wrong. It could have been several generations depending on the verse.
Well, that I find very odd, too, that, having just been freed as slaves, they're already talking about owning their own slaves.
Well I mean, the God chooses the Jews to free, right?
Right.
He doesn't say universally across the world, all slaves are now free. He chooses some guys. So having been chose, they're the free ones. There's no statement there that slavery is inherently evil. Just, you guys get to not be slaves anymore.
And by the way, they get very specific in the sense that there are specific rules applied to the Jews on who they can enslave. For example, anybody who's not a Jew. That's the first rule. And then there's the second rule that says, oh, and by the way, you can enslave your fellow Jews, but you have to let them go in the 7th year. And then, as if that wasn't funny enough, right after that, there's a little verse that says, but if you give him a wife when his 7 years are up and he's ready to go, his wife stays with you. And then if he comes to you and says, I love my wife and I love my master and I don't want to leave, then you get to drive a spike through his ear and he's now your property forever. So after saying you can enslave Jews but not forever, it then gives you the loophole that allows you to enslave your fellow Jews forever. Brilliant.
I remember reading that now.
Yeah.
But the odd thing to me is that the point I was trying to make is having been slaves themselves, you would think they would be more opposed to slavery.
It just goes to show it was not understood to be an inherently evil institution. It was just understood to be a condition they didn't want to be in.
Right. That's just...
The thing is that no matter how, I mean, slavery isn't the equivalent of perpetual torture. It's a matter, even in the South, and you watch whatever else, and yes, we're talking about beating people. That's why my huge objection is this idea of owning them as property. It's absolutely stupid of a slave owner to continually beat and torture his slaves, because guess what? They're not going to be very productive. You're going to have injured people rather than actual workers. So by and large, slavery can be beneficial to the slaves as well. I mean, it's not... I'm not trying to play this up as a plus, but you're in a situation where you have regular work and food and everything else, and you're taken care of, and you're part of a system, and you're being productive. The problem here is not that everything about everything that happens within this is necessarily evil. It's that you are not free. You are owned. Your decisions are not your own. You are property. And the reason that that it shouldn't surprise anybody that they wanted to have slaves as well is because if you have owning slaves, fantastic for the slave owner. It's like the best things before sliced bread.
I see what you're saying.
Well, anything else, Greg?
That's basically it. I want to thank Matt personally. I now am an atheist, and I have you to thank for that. I ran across one of your little short clips on YouTube quite by accident, and basically what you were saying about how you took a look at your own, you had to take a good, hard look at your own beliefs and why you believed them. Mm-hmm. That's what started me looking at my own beliefs and then doing some research, and it's very, I don't know, I find it very freeing.
Me too. And I'm very happy for you, Greg, and thank you very much for the compliment, but you did it on your own, just like I did. Just, we got to get information out. That's the big thing.
Yeah,
Give people resources so that they can do the work themselves.
Right, exactly.
And for those Christians watching, when we say freeing, we mean, you know, it frees our minds to be able to think clearly about stuff. It's not carte blanche to go out and, you know, commit a bunch of depravity, which is what you think we're all in it for.
Which is, oddly enough, something we were free to do beforehand.
You just ask forgiveness.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't hit a single person over the head with a rod since I became an atheist.
See, you're not going to the right bars.
Yeah, you don't believe in the guy that gives you permission.
Thanks a lot, Greg. I appreciate
Okay, thank you. Bye.
We're down to less than 4 minutes. And
less
I have
than 2 minutes.
I have this thing that I want to do since
he
didn't call. Last week, Russell Glasser and Matt Wagner were on, and in the last few minutes of their show, they had a caller, Damien from Chicago, who said he was going to call back and hasn't. But I want to quickly respond to something he said. He said to Russell and Matt, "God loves you both. I don't know that doesn't mean much to you." And Russell replied, "Well, we know it means something to you, so thank you." I'm going to make an assumption that had he called us today, he'd have been willing to say those same words, that his God loves us both, even though it doesn't mean much to us, to me and Matt. It's possible. What?
Martin was here, not me.
Yes, but if he had called now, it would be me and Matt.
I'm on the same.
And I'm not Russell. So, now, the caller was aware he was talking to atheists who don't believe in his God, because he said he realized the phrase wouldn't mean anything.
You got 30 seconds.
So he was not, oh God, I'm never going to get through this. I'll do it on my next appearance.
Okay.
There's no reason, I can't get it out in 30 seconds. Anyway, Damien, if you're out there, boy, I'm sad you didn't call during the show. And please do watch for me being on again. They post the schedule on the Atheist Experience website, and I'd love to ask you some questions about what you mean by that.
We're out of time. Thanks everybody who called in. Thanks to the guys in the booth. There's the list of them. We're going to Thread Gills, which I didn't announce enough during the show. We'll be down there in less than a half an hour. Any atheist or atheist-friendly person is welcome to join us. We'll be back here again next week for at least 1 or 2 more weeks before the studio shuts down. But stay tuned to the website for information on how to watch over the summer. See you next week.